Welcome to another episode of Before You Kill Yourself with your host, Leo Flowers. I am Leo Flowers. Today we got a special guest. We got Miguel Rosario, better known as Gravity or AKA Gravity. He's a b-boy out there in the Bronx, and he might be representing Puerto Rico in the Olympics' first ever breakdancing segment. Gravity's journey hasn't been a smooth one. There's been a lot of challenges, and we have talked about some of the mental health struggles that he's undergone, and so we're going to get into all that. Gravity, how you doing, brother? Where you at right now? What city?
Yo, Flowers, man. I appreciate this, man. First off, you know what I'm saying? Shout outs to you doing your thing, the podcast, and what you guys stand for and what you guys are trying to bring awareness to is a big deal, and it's an amazing thing. So shout outs to you, man, and thanks for having me on. Just to quick clarify, breaking obviously did start in the Bronx, but I'm a Brooklyn kid all day, every day, born and raised. It wasn't until I was about 21 years old where I moved to Phoenix, where that's actually where I'm at right now. I'm in my facility. It's called Break Free Phoenix, and it's a hip hop school. It's just an outlet that we have, and it's a dope facility, man. We teach breaking, graffiti, DJing. I mean, you name it. It's anything to do with hip hop happens in this building right here.
That's dope, man. And working with children, because we know we got to catch them young. The schools have been closed for a while with
Yeah,
the
man.
pandemic and everything. What made you want to open up a facility and work with kids and give them this opportunity?
Man, you know what? Sorry for the back noise, man. I've got a lot of stuff happening over here. My kids are here and stuff. But the whole point of this, man, was my friend. I had this facility way before. It's been about a year and a half now that I've had this facility, and it'll be almost 2 years now. But before that, before I went to Break Free, or before we became Break Free, this was just my creative space, man. I was just in here training, killing the game, just working out and practicing and getting ready for what was to come. We just started the pandemic when I got the facility, and all the practice spots closed, and I was like, man, forget this. I'm gonna just open up my own warehouse and just train in there. And then so many things blossomed out of that. And during the pandemic, one of my friends named Moy Rivas, he has a facility in Houston, and he was like, bro, we got 3 locations now, one in Kansas City. Would you be willing to run your own school? And we talked about what it would take, and what, I've always been familiar with Break Free. I've been around since when Break Free first started, and I've always been a fan of their work ethic. I've always been a fan of what they stand for. And so when it became something possible to do out here in Phoenix, I jumped on it. Like, who wouldn't, And so we just been grinding, and the thought process behind creating a hip hop school was being the most different hip hop school. So out of all the locations, I wanted to stand out as being a top tier level hip hop school where you're getting like massive quality, and like I just wanted to put in extra work. And we have been, man, and our students are doing good. They just won their first championship title out here. And we started in October, so it's been amazing, man. It's been an amazing journey, but we really did it for the fulfillment, like this is like the future of our culture. So it's important that what we teach and how we teach it makes sense.
When you say how we teach it, tell me more about that, because that is so important. I took Kung Fu, and it wasn't just about the movement and throwing the punches and kicks. There was also a philosophy behind it. When you say how we teach it, say more, please.
Of course, man. So when a new student comes in, or mainly actually when a parent comes in, we want them to understand that there's a mentorship here. All my instructors have been with me for the last 11 years, as far as we've been growing together. When I first moved to Phoenix, man, these guys were killing it, wanting to learn how to do it. And I was there teaching, and they've been with me ever since. Then when this Break Free thing happened, I don't just teach breaking, I bring them along for the ride. I travel the world with some of my students, man. China, France, New York, LA. You name it, we've been there. And when we go, it's a lot of lessons learned, a lot of lessons on loss, a lot of lessons on pressure, a lot of lessons on family struggle, and how to release that energy. Because this is something that I had to learn myself on my own, was how to release this energy. And when somebody's angry or when somebody's going through mental frustrations, it's very difficult to say, yeah, you just let it out all out on the floor on dance. There comes a point in time where the dance is not enough. And so it's just about creating different outlets within the movement, within the culture, to keep us distracted and to keep us motivated, to keep us positive, because, surviving through breaking or just making a career out of being an artist is a very difficult thing. And so I know firsthand. And so when new parents come in and stuff, we explain this to them. We explain where we are in life and where we started, and the generational levels of teaching in here, and what we want to provide for their children and for the youth of this community. So things like creating a career path. We're not just showing our kids how to DJ, but for instance, we have an event coming up where it's like our 6-month recap. Our students are throwing their own event. They're going to be hosting, DJing, judging, handling, tickets at the door and all this stuff. And it's a big deal to teach them about organization and commitment and dedication, and not just that, but business.
You talked about having a place to release the energy because dancing is not enough. And you talked about, being able to release any other attention or what's going on in the body. I know that a few years ago, you were involved in a car accident.
Yeah.
And I would imagine for you, that had to be, a person who's a dancer, loves to move, that had to be a struggle for you mentally, emotionally. How did you release the energy at that place? And tell us a little bit about the accident.
Yeah, man. So, man, that's a rough one. So, I've had numerous, top 3 moments in my life where it was down, and the most recent one is the motorcycle accident I was in. Basically, I had a motorcycle. I love jumping out of planes. I love swimming with sharks. I'm down. I love to just create new avenues in my life and just new excitement. If I can jump out of a plane and land safely, that was worth it. So whatever the case is, I got a motorcycle. I loved it. I live in Arizona. I'm saying the weather's amazing. The road, there's no potholes, open highways. It's a good space. Whatever the case is, I was riding and loving it. And then it got to the point where, I was over it. I was going to sell my bike. So I was going to sell my motorcycle. I had a Yamaha R6, and I was going to sell it the next day. And I had, that the day before I was going to sell it, I told my family, hey, one of my guys has a show in Phoenix downtown. I'm going to go for a cruise and just, I'll see you guys later. Everybody's like, all right. So I get on the bike. I just have I had shorts, a t-shirt, and sunglasses on. I was just going to cruise, man, 40 miles an hour the whole way. No rush. My whole family comes out of the house just to give me a hug. And I was like, that was weird. It was super weird. I was like, all right, come on. Everybody giving me hugs. Let's go. Big kisses. Let's go. I got 4 kids and my beautiful fiance. And everybody came. Even my dog came out and jumped on me to get love. And I was like, yo, that was weird, bro. So I'm like, you know what? I followed them back inside. I grabbed my jacket, my helmet, and my headphones. And I just I got on the bike and I took off. Smooth sailing all the way through. Slightly traffic, not too much. And then all of a sudden, this guy was weird. He was like a red, old school, it was like a E30 BMW, top was down. And he was just kept looking in the rear view. And I peep everything. When you're on a motorcycle, bro, it's different awareness. It's there. You could see the concrete. You know what I'm saying? You looking at it. And so whatever the case is, man, this freaking guy, he just kept coming in front of me when I was riding. And I was like, oh, crap. You know what? It's weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch lanes and I'm going to take off. I'm going to gun it. So I look back because we have a blind spot on bikes. And so I took a quick look back and I heard as soon as I broke my neck, it was like, as soon as I heard that skirt, I turned around and within a split second, he went from 20 feet in front of me to 0 feet in front of me. And I hit my brakes. I saw it coming. I hit my brakes. The bike laid down. And then I got scared because I thought I had shorts on. I thought my leg was going to scrape the floor. So I let go of the clutch. And the wheel spun up and it flipped me high side. So a high side flip is when, the bike is sliding, vertically and it just shoots you over. My leg was still caught under the bike. And so it shot me forward, and at about 40 miles an hour, I hit his bumper head first, and then I laid down flat on the floor. My bike flipped, and it was like bumping and bouncing all over the place, totaled. And then whatever, I laid down. I was right by the exit that I needed to get off to, and I laid down. And once I laid down, I kind of like took a deep breath. I realized what happened, and I like looked around. And when I looked around, I went to push to get up because I realized I'm in the middle of the highway. Nah, man, that didn't happen. My leg was totally dislocated and broken. I didn't realize it. All of a sudden, all these cars pull up, surround me, and they get out their car. All these people get out the car, and I'm right by the hospital. Everybody was coming back from their lunch break. All these doctors and nurses were there, took care of me on the spot. Ambulance came, take me away. Come to find out, man, I have no feeling and motion in my whole left side. Temporarily paralyzed because I pinched my sciatic nerve. It was like instant spinal swelling because of how hard I hit on impact. Pinched my sciatic nerve, and then my whole left leg went limp. I didn't feel it for 2 days. They put a catheter in me. They had to like fix my leg, put it in a cast. It was dislocated, so they had to pop my hip back in place. Like all this stuff happened. And the doctor was telling me, like, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't think you're going to be able to dance the same after this, like, and it was like, I went home without being able to like feel my leg, I went, sorry, I lost you. But I went home without being able to feel my leg. I was being told like I wasn't going to be able to do certain things for a while. And it hurt me, man, because, I dance every day. And I'm at the peak of my career, and I'm crushing it, and so it sucked to just be home all day, every day, not be waiting for my leg to feel better, bro. I had a catheter in me. I couldn't pee. Like I just had nothing, bro. It was painful. It was degrading in a way, and it just kind of sucked.
You talked about having a fiance and 4 kids. What was that like to be laid up and your kids are around you and your fiance is there? How did they handle it, and what surprised you the most about that whole experience?
They handled it well. They were so motivating. I was so negative, bro. I was like the most negative person on the planet. I was quitting. I was giving up, and that's not like me. That's not my shit. That's not my style, And they were just so supportive, telling me I can do it every day, pushing me. And it was incredible, bro. They were incredible. What surprised me was finally when I kind of got through to myself, and I was like, it was maybe day 7. It was about day 7 of feeling like this, where I was like, you're tripping. Get up. Like I kept telling myself, just get up, just get up, just get up, just get up. And then it got to the point where I just got up and I just kept pushing. And I think it was day 9 that I started getting the feeling back in my leg. And it was day 10 where like literally next day where I was like trying to lean on it, try to put weight on it. And I was out total for about 2 months. But what surprised me was like, it was only 2 months. Like 2 months ain't a long time. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't just out 2 months. I was back competing at the highest level in 2 months. And so that was the mental state. It went from, 7, like, I don't know, bro. It went from 7 to 10 days of just like, I don't know, bro, just mental like failure, like emotional failure, like just starting to figure out what I'm gonna do next to make money,
Were there meds involved? Because I had spinal fusion, tore my meniscus, and they handed me some painkillers, and I immediately was like, I see how people get addicted to this. What was that like for you?
So the best thing was the morphine. The best thing was the morphine. I'm not gonna lie. As soon as that shit hit, and I remember that was like one of the first times I ever, got a glimpse of morphine, man. And I was like, whoa. I didn't even know how to handle it, you know, like I really didn't even know how to handle it at first. It hits and you're like, what is this? You know? Excuse me, let me fix this real fast. I want to make sure I look good too, you know what I'm saying? Uh, but yeah, man, when the morphine kicked in, I was like, okay, this is it, you know, like this is what I need because I didn't feel no pain. And although like I didn't have any feeling in my leg, the problem was my back and my neck and my head was aching so bad. And when I got hit with the morphine, I just remember laying there for like 30 minutes, not worrying about nothing. The TV was on. I didn't care about nothing. And that was epic, bro. It was legendary, you know what I'm saying? And that felt good because it felt like the pain was never going to go away. So come to shove, they finally released me from the hospital and they gave me these codeines and these Percocets and these drugs, bro, like heavy, I'm talking about heavy meds, you know. And first day I was taking them, second day I was taking them, third day I was taking them. Day 4, I was like thinking to myself, I don't even take Tylenol when I'm sick, bro. I don't take no medicine when I'm sick. I'm the type of guy, I don't know if you know, but celery juice, some people think celery is a vegetable. It's an herb and it heals and it is incredible-ish, man. If you ever want to heal fast, and I can get into the healing process if you're interested, man, but celery juice is crazy. Anyway, so I realized that I was getting to the point where I wasn't even needing the pills. I was just like popping them because like it felt good to just crank one in real quick and, you know, not have to worry about the pain coming back. So it got to the point where I wasn't even allowing myself to feel the pain. I just kept popping them. And then this is like, you know, first couple of days out of the hospital. Day 4, bro, I was just like out of it. And I just started pounding water. I didn't want it in me anymore. And then it got to like every couple of days I would take it. And then it got to the point where I just wasn't taking it anymore. And I, you know, certain days where it was really hard. Hey, Ivan, can you just make sure like the kids are, yeah. And so there's certain days where it was really hard, and then there was certain days where it was cool, man. I think where I just am just a lucky mother effer, bro. Like where I am lucky, bro, is my family, like my kids and my fiance, man. They are so on point with me. Like they bring good vibes. Like if you ever met them, bro, you just know, like, damn, that's a lucky guy, you know. And so you know, it got to the point where they kept my mind off of it and we started getting busy and my son started practicing. So I was working with my son, forgetting that I was hurt. And, you know, it's like I'm actually a lot more fortunate than most people because I have that support and I got that squad of kids and family here. You know what I'm saying?
I love the, you know, you just light up and there's a glow about you talking about the family and your fiance and
Yeah.
I could see the how proud you are of them. Has it always been like that, feeling that family support? Did you grow up in a household where you felt like your family had your back and was there for you?
It was really just my mom at one point. My dad tried to be supportive when he was older, when I got older, but the truth is like you know, he just was focused on his own life and you know, I don't even hold him to it, but it was really just me and my mom, you know, and family, you know, I didn't start breaking until I was about 16. I was on my own, man. Ain't nobody cared what I was doing at that time except my mom, and I put her through hell. You know what I'm saying? So, like, just being a street kid, I put her through hell. You know, and so it was always just me because at first, you know, I did gymnastics 18 years, and my mom was like, she dedicated her whole life to me doing gymnastics and having a career in that. You know, and then I stopped doing that because I wanted to pursue breaking. I found that in high school, and I was like, nah, this is what I want to do. So the movie You Got Served, and I was in it. I was sold. And so then it got to the point where, you know, no, I didn't have that support. It wasn't always like that. I think that it was just me and my mom. And I think at that point, you know, that's all you know. So it was enough. It wasn't until I actually had my own family where, you know, it was like, this is what we need. So we support each other. You know, my fiance, she's, you know, right next to me right now. Well, she's in the other room and she's doing lashes and she has her own business. And you know, like my kids, they want it. My son wants to be a professional skater and breaker, you know, so like we're just constantly doing stuff for each other with each other.
You talked earlier about the healing properties of celery juice,
Yeah.
and I want to get into that, but we also talked about how there was a point in your life where you were in a dark place and felt like ending your life. Can you talk to us about what that moment was?
Yeah, man. 7 years ago. I'll never forget this day. It was a deep day, bro. Like, I don't even think I've really spoken about this, but well, like, suicide. But I have in the past spoken about what I'm about to tell you. But as a child, I was molested by my babysitter's son. I was 5 years old. I'll never forget it. It happened for about 2 years, and I never told anybody. I didn't tell anybody until I was 29. And it was because it was like a time where I had to share it, man. I had to make a YouTube video about it. I had to just let it out. I don't know why. That's the only way I knew how to do it. And so I put it out there and whatever the case is. But anyway, when I was a kid, I was molested and it sucked. It was like, you don't know no better at that age. You didn't know what was happening, why you were being touched like that, why you being moved like that, and what the fuck was going on. You don't know. And so I when I realized how wrong it was, I dealt with the questions my whole life by myself. Then it got to the point where, I was being bullied. I was always a little skinny kid, bro, chicken legs. I still got the same size legs from when I was 15. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just a skinny dude, bro. And I was always getting picked on, spit on, slapped, pushed around. Like, bro, it was bad, bro. Like, before ninth grade, bro, I was 7 years old thinking about like hating my life and wondering, like, I remember hearing like, when you die, you can come back as an animal. And I used to think like, what animal would I want to come back with as? And I always wanted to like see like, what happens if I end my life at 7, bro? I'll never forget this, bro. I used to draw orcas everywhere and I just wanted to come back as a whale, straight up. I was like in the ocean free. And so whatever the case is, man, that's where the first thought ever came up when I was younger. And then the thought always just hung out. It just like chilled, like it could be easy. Fast forward 7 years ago, fast forward to 7 years ago, I'm in my relationship. It's not working, up and down, wild energy, wild mentality, like just traveling rock star life, and then the only time I really enjoyed myself was when I was traveling or if I was drinking and partying. And then when I would come home, I would be dealing with bullshit that I didn't feel like I wanted to deal with, excuses, from being, just a ignorant, immature, young adult, young parent, young wannabe, entrepreneur slash boss. Felt so entitled and pointed my fingers a lot at, why me, why this, I'm failing, I'm about to lose my facility. I had a big old warehouse, I was about to lose it. And I remember just quitting, like just quitting. And I owned a gun and I thought to myself that would be a way. And I was like, that's mad messy. I'm thinking about how people are going to see me after, like straight up, bro. These are thoughts, And I just I thought about like just freaking hanging myself, bro. Like I really did. I was deep into it. I set it up. I was ready to go, bro. I was like ready. And as I was in that process, I like double taked. I thought about it and I was like, the hell am I fucking doing, bro? Like, if nobody tells you that it's okay to start over and it's okay to fail, when you fail, you feel like you lost everything. Nobody's there telling you or sharing with you that, it's okay to fuck up. It's okay to suck. And it's okay to be at rock bottom. Like rock bottom is not a bad place, bro. It really isn't, but people tell you that, and when you see everybody else doing good and you're at rock bottom, you start to wonder why you. And so that's the place that I was in, man. It's funny because that very next day I had an interview and I can send you the link to it, Flowers, man. But basically, my eyes are all puffy. Like I was doing this interview at my facility. Nobody knew that the day before I wouldn't even have been there. Like if it wasn't for me just coming down off that fucking mat that I had there ready to kick it out from under my feet. And this is crazy. I've never really explained this night to anybody. So this would be the first time I ever do it. But I'm such a transparent person. I kind of don't give a fuck, like if this will help somebody, I'll tell them, so whatever the case is, man, that next day I had an interview, showed up. I knew my eyes were puffy. I knew I looked like shit because I was crying for fucking 8 hours straight, And it got to the point, man, where I started to then realize, like, what are you doing? Like, why? How can you just give up? Like, you got kids. Like, how could you be a quitter? Like, that's what I was telling myself. And that whole night, I remember telling myself, like, never again, never again. You can't hurt yourself, bro. Like, what are you doing? You know, like, you're better than that. And it took for me to tell myself, like, I had to sit there and like look around my facility and think about how many people were able to do something like that, like just start their own business. And I already had students, I had my family, but I didn't realize and I didn't take responsibility for my own actions. Um, I blamed other people more than I blamed myself. Oh, speaking of the woman herself, say hi, babe.
Hey, hey, how are you?
Babe, you just throw up West Side. Jesus.
I don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, but I love you for that. That was honest. I'm good, baby. And so yeah, man, like as a young adult, you don't hold yourself accountable. A lot of us don't. As young teenagers, we don't hold ourselves accountable. As kids, we don't. We just blame everybody else. And so if you're used to people doing things for you coming up as a kid, and you get older as an adult, that's all you know, then that's the first thing you do. You blame somebody else for why you're in the position you're in. And if you can, what I did was I kind of stepped back. I realized, all right, I'm at rock bottom. I realized that I just did that. Like I really just did that right now, Miguel. Like, are you kidding me right now? And then ever since that very next day, man, where I did that interview, and it was for a college project that somebody had, I just thought to myself, man, like, people want to know about my life. Like, I'm doing something. And then honestly, my life kind of just changed after that, bro. Like, my mentality, my thought process, how I move, what I truly waste my energy on. And then I held myself accountable. I told myself my biggest flaws, and I told myself where I can have the most improvement and what I'm really good at and what I'm really bad at. And then I just thought to myself, okay, how do we get good at all of that stuff? And then it just became more about myself. And that's a hard thing. Some people think that being selfish is a negative thing. But there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first, And when I realized that, I think that I was able to do a lot more for others.
When you say put yourself first, what does that look like for you? Does that mean that you're getting up before the rest of the family? Does it mean that you get the big piece of chicken first? Like, when you say putting yourself first, how does that play out in action?
Yeah. So putting myself first means I'm not going to be in a situation that will make me feel uncomfortable. If I don't want to be there, I will not be there. And I have to stand strong to that because my energy is very important and I need to protect it. Putting myself first means that I cannot make anybody else happy in my life if I'm not happy. So I need me time. I love nature. I'm okay. I took a drive out to the Grand Canyon by my damn self, 4.5-hour drive to reset. I sat on a 5,000-foot cliff by myself for an hour and a half and then drove back home. That's what I mean by put myself first, meaning I don't need to take my whole family on every single trip I go to. If I want to take a trip on myself, and if anybody has a problem with that, I don't really care because I need to take a trip for myself for a reason. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of people won't put themselves first. And this is something that even like my fiance, like I told her, like, babe, you need to do that. You need your time. Go time. Bye. Go. I got the kids. Like, go, because I know how important it is. I know how dangerous it is to not have that. And so, being able to do things like that allows my family to have the bigger piece of chicken.
I
Does
love
that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, because now you come back recharged, you come back invigorated,
I'm
and
ready.
you come back with excitement. Yeah, you ready to go. You ready
And
to
I
hear
wanna
all
share
their
that.
stories? Yeah. Show me all your little projects and you got on your test, and show me your moves because you restored yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you also talked about taking so it sounds like I just want to kind of recap your path on having a gun, setting up the rope and all that stuff, and it sounds like the way you were able to kind of decompress or get back to neutral was one, you started to recognize your accomplishments. You were looking at
Mm,
all the things that you've done. You looked at the fact that you had family, that you started a business, just how far you've come and what you, and the fact that people want to hear you speak and hear your story. Two, it also sounds like, what was the other thing? Was I wrote it down. Oh, that you held yourself accountable, right?
mm,
Like you were blaming so many other people for what was going on in your life, and that you start to take responsibility for yourself. And then, the last part was like you took stock of what your strengths were and what your weaknesses were. And then you
mhm.
were like, how can I make these all strengths? Is there something else in there in that road to recover? It sounds like this path is something that you've done pretty much yourself. I mean, yes, your family's been around you, but did you go see a therapist? Were there any meds? Was there any group therapy? Any of that?
No, I wouldn't take no medicine. I wouldn't do anything. I did have a drinking problem at one point, and I would just drink a lot. And I think that's where it put me deeper and deeper. It just, I don't drink anymore. Actually, here and there, I'll have like maybe an occasional drink, but I love wine. So like that's as far as my extent goes. My favorite drink's a Moscow Mule, but I usually, maybe, I think, I don't know. I've had one, I've had two this whole year so far, like, and I've had like maybe three drinks this whole year, like, and these drinks were like, I had two glasses of wine with my mom in New York recently, and then the other two Moscow Mules were spread out throughout the year. You know what I'm saying? Like before, it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week, and so this is years ago. And it was just because, I live in Arizona, everybody's barbecuing and catching up and drinking every weekend, and it doesn't hurt to have a beer here and there. And I think that something like drinking all the time, it puts you in a weird place. It puts you in an egotistical place that doesn't really, makes you feel entitled. Alcohol sometimes, I think, makes people feel entitled when they start to abuse it or use it too much. Um, but no, bro, there was there was no drugs being taken. It was really just, before I go and make this decision of ending my life, am I sure? There's no reset button, right? So am I sure that this is the road or this is the road I want to take? And and I don't know if anybody else has been able to do that. Some people obviously don't. And 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 I think it comes from being afraid. It's a scary thing. And some people feel like, maybe, I don't know, but maybe some people feel they just got no other options. But the truth is, I was able to my eyes were open. I knew what was happening in that moment. But then I don't know. I remember I had a big warehouse, and I remember just kind of looking around and like ready to say goodbye to everything, bro. And I remember just looking around like, wait a second, like, hold on a second. Took it off my neck. I sat down on the mat, and I just kind of thought to myself, crying, hysterical, bro. And I just like looking around, and I was just like, man, like I could never, like, if I'm not happy, like, can't I just change this? Like for real though, like, can I just leave, or can I just do something? Is there something I can do? And and the answer was yes. It was yes, man. Like, can I be better to my family to avoid the arguments? Can I put them, as a priority? Can I, stop dancing to compete and start dancing to just dance? And everything was a lot of pressure. Everything was about money, and everything was about like grinding. I Man, it's difficult, to be out there and not be a part of the rat race and not be an employee and make this shit happen. And my family, we were all living in the warehouse because we had nothing else. Because I decided to just get a $6,000 a month bill through a warehouse because I had a dream. Like, I operated very selfishly in a negative way where, it was like, uh, nobody else mattered, but I'm in a different selfish point where everybody else matters. But in order for me to make them happy and give them my full time, let me give myself a day a week or 2 days a week to just be me, be by myself, and do what I want to do. And so I think it's just a balance that I found over the years. But I think that I'm just a lot more fortunate than some people, man. I won't lie, man. I'm very, 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 very fortunate to have the support from my kids and my fiance, my mother, my dad now, and I think that's what helped. But at one point, when you feel alone, when you feel like, you are alone, you probably are alone, but it's probably because of you, not because of anybody else, you know?
Yeah.
Some like, go ahead.
I was going to say because it definitely takes effort and being proactive in terms of connecting with other people, and
Correct.
also in that vulnerability of being willing to share your story. You talked about sharing your story on YouTube. Were you
Yeah.
surprised at how people responded to that? Because so many people are afraid to share their story because they're afraid they'll be shamed or ostracized. What was your experience with sharing your story?
It was dope, man. I don't normally share. I don't normally read comments. It's not my thing. Like in my field of work, there's so many negative comments out there. You don't read the inbox, basically. But I was very curious this time to do it, and it got a lot of great response, man. It didn't get really much traction, and that's okay. But I feel like for the people that did, a lot of people would responded with like, "Thank you, I needed this," or "Thank you, that was great," or and I thought that was really dope. But it felt good to get that off my chest, so that if you have seen it and you look at me, you can see why I am where I am today. And I'm not talking about success wise, just who I've become and who I've masked myself to be is, there's always an answer, and to be present and to be mindful and thoughtful of others, and to also think, hey, I'm not the only person that's going through this. And you never know if the person you're in an argument with or the person that you're fighting with has their own demons that they're going through, that they didn't have that experience yet of self recognition and just kind of like self-worth. And so it's important for me to share that energy. So, I'm not a big person on asking how was your day. I'm a big person on saying what was the best part of your day. And that is something that I do on a regular basis. Whenever I meet somebody, I'm like, "Oh man, what's going on, man?" And they're like, "Great, how are you?" I'm good. How are you? And then they're like, "Great." And I'm like, "Man, what was the best part of your day?" Like I'm trying to learn people. I'm trying to know people, and I'm a traveler. Like back in the day when human beings would travel, they would meet either good people or bad people, and I want to be that person that's always met like, yeah, I met Gravity. I met him too, bro. Was it like I want that to be like the vibe, like so.
I love that. You talked about being able to let go of blame. I would assume that there was a part of you that was angry at the adults in your life when you were experiencing the molestation. How did you have a conversation with your mom, and what was that like?
Yeah, I told her when I was 29. I told my mom when I was 29, grown man. I was like, "Hey, I wanted to tell you. I don't know if I know you don't know this, but," and then I broke it down to her, and she just looked at me like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Like a big part of why I feel like this and feel like this and feel like that is, some things happen. And I haven't been able to talk much about it. And she just was like, she broke down, and she felt bad. She was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I was like, "Well, because I thought as a kid, I didn't think, like when somebody says like, if you tell anybody I'll kill your family, you believe them. You're a kid. You're looking at a giant. And so I told her about it, and she was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like I'm good now." And now like I was having sex at a young age, bro. I was like 12 years old when I lost my virginity. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, what the fuck? Like it's happening. That's just like you don't know no better, stupid, like ridiculous. And it was just a life that like molded me to become a really mean person. I found gangs when I hit high school, and I was just about that life, dude. I was just trying to hurt everybody, because for so long I was picked on and bullied and spit on and all this stuff. And then when I figured out how strong I was, and I figured out, man, I got hands. I just started putting in street work, and it didn't lead me anywhere but jail and looking at 7 to 15 years. And my mom was forking up lawyers and all this stuff, bro. It sucked. It just made me a mean, angry person.
So where did dancing? You talked about jail and but also talked about dancing. So that Well, I feel like it's kind of like the Biggie Small story, right? Where
Mhm.
Biggie's on the street selling, but he's also a dope rapper, and there's a moment where he's gonna go one direction or the other.
It's
You're
exactly like that.
and was there nobody else that came into your life that kind of was like, young man, the path you're going down? Was there not a mentor or another voice in your head at any point, a teacher?
I had a lot of people tell me, like, bro, the way you're going, his name is Joey Jabino, and he was my brother's stepfather, but he was a big person in my life as well. And he was a street dude too, and but he changed his life around. He was just telling me, like, man, like, you don't want to go to jail, bro. Like, he's telling me the things that happened to him. He's like, I got jumped and people did this to me and that to me in jail. And you want that? Because if you do, go ahead, keep doing your thing. But you're a little guy, man. There's not much you can do at Rikers. And then we talked, but I didn't listen, man. I just kept rocking. And I've had people tell me, like, bro, you can do so much. You're so talented. I just never listened. Like, you don't know my life. You don't know my story. Shut up. And it wasn't until I met these two twins that wanted to learn how to break. And I mean, they wanted to learn how to flip, and I wanted to learn how to break, and they knew how to break. And we started talking. It was in summer school. It was this thing called Big Apple Games in New York City. And, it's just like you go and you do gymnastics all summer, you come in and whatnot. And, we just kept hanging out. And then it got to the point where I was kind of balancing the gang life with the dance life. And, I'd be with them, but if some shit had to go down, I had to bounce because I had a not just a reputation, but a responsibility. I ran like a really big gang. And it was just like, I had this squad of people, and it was like things went down every single day. And so one time it got to the point where it was like, yo, man, are you going to come to practice or are you going to come do this? And it was like, I'll go to practice. Yeah, come on. And then it just kept practice started to come more and more like consistent. And it got to the point where I was juggling the street, gymnastics, and breaking. And then I let go of gymnastics, and it was street and breaking. And then I let go of the street, and now I'm full-time breaking. But it wasn't until I was about 18 years old where I let go of the street. And actually, 17, going to be 18, that I let go of that world where I wouldn't even pick my hands up, bro. It was just like, nah, I'm going to go dance. I'm out of here. I left Queens. I didn't even go back to Long Island City High School to do anything other than just like say hi to my coach and leave. Like I wouldn't be around anybody. I left that whole squad. I had cold turkey too. It was like, I'm out. But I had went to jail, and I saw my mom crying, and I was doing time. I was on 5 years probation. It was either basically I got the ultimatum. Do I want to do 7 years in jail or just enroll in the military? And I chose military. Who wouldn't, right? But then during my trial, during my case, they had just passed that law, so it was vetoed. That voided out. That was no longer an option. But because I picked that option, they gave me 5 years probation, and then that's where I started off. I was 17, and it's just like after that I was like, man, I'm not messing this up, because then I would have to, if I messed up, I'd have to finish my time in prison, and I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to keep dancing, man. So
How old are you now?
I'm about to be 32 on the 20th of May.
Wow. So happy
Yeah.
birthday. In
Thank you.
case I don't reach out. Now,
Yeah.
to backtrack a little bit, you talked about the healing properties of celery juice. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
all leaned in on that because I used to use it as a anti-inflammatory with pineapple juice. So please, for the people out there who are struggling with
Ooh.
inflammation and just using all these
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals to heal themselves, what are the healing properties of celery, and what are some natural healing properties that you incorporate?
Okay. So here we go, bro. So I've been through multiple injuries. My most recent injury is my knee injury. That one sucked so bad. I had torn meniscus, and I didn't want to take drugs. I didn't want to do surgery or nothing like that. So what I did was I listened to all types of podcasts. I can't wait to hear your other episodes, to be honest. But I listened to Jay Shetty. And Jay Shetty is a holistic guy. He's all about healing the mind, the heart, the soul, and everything like that. And he brought this guest on, and this guest started talking about celery juice. I'm listening to this guy talk about how celery juice changed his life, and how he has clients who would take celery juice and they no longer have cancer. They no longer have diabetes. Started telling me all this stuff. I was like, I don't believe it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some celery juice and I'm gonna juice it and I'm gonna do what he says. So I did celery juice. Basically, my regiment was I did it every single day. First thing I did when I woke up, I didn't even brush my teeth, bro. First thing I did, I walked into the kitchen and a whole head of celery, I pushed it in the juicer, then I drank. It was like maybe, what was it, 20 ounces of celery juice a day. And so the way I did is that whole head of celery, I would just drop it. I just chug it back, and I didn't eat anything for an hour after. So that's all I had. I didn't put nothing in my body except celery juice. So, my stomach's empty. Everything is empty. My body's not working. All it has to work with is celery. And so it takes this herb in, and it first of all, your body feels disgusting. And your body, like, I don't know, like at first I didn't feel anything, but I did feel like my body knew it had some good green in it. And then it got to the point where I was doing it every day. And I started realizing that, my knee wasn't hurting me as much. I restarted, and it's crazy because I would do the celery juice, and then after I did the celery juice, I would just pound water. After that hour, I'd pound water, and then I would juice all types of carrots, ginger, lemon, apples, spinach, kale, and then I would juice 30 ounces of that, and I wouldn't eat anything until I finished that juice. And then I had only like one major solid meal that day, and there was everything in it, like meat and broccoli and freaking mashed potatoes, pasta, rice, everything, and just all these different protein and carbs. And that's all I ate, one meal. And then I wouldn't do it again. And so basically the thought process behind this was the less my body had to worry about digesting, the more it can focus on healing. And when it was digesting, what was it digesting? And that's when the celery juice came in, and all the kale and ginger and lemon and all these nutrients and vitamins that were, my body just got to eat good, because your body will take whatever nutrients it can from whatever you eat, And so when it came down to like grubbing super hard, like that one time that day, it was just like, that's the only time my body had to work. Other than that, it was pounded on celery juice and all the nutrients from celery. I lost like zero, like I didn't lose any weight. I maintained. And then, man, honestly, it just got to the point where I started to be able to do certain other things in my body. I just wasn't getting hurt. I wasn't injured. I didn't feel injured. But my knee it didn't heal my knee, but I felt 1,000 times better as a human being. I don't know if that makes sense. And it allowed me to strengthen my leg up with these exercises that I was doing. It allowed me to be motivated because I just had all this energy. It was good energy too. And then it got to the point where, man, I actually did stem cell injections too in my knee and PRP injections. And I just started finding all these holistic things that you can do. And it was an incredible thing. But celery juice was like a good base. It is a good base for your body to just start operating and functioning way better. The less, people think you have to have 3 square meals a day. I don't think that's true. I think what we need is one solid meal and a bunch of nutrients. And so that's like what I believe did it for me to help me bounce back so fast, so strong. Actually it took me 2 years. But once I found celery juice, it only took me about 6 months, if that.
Go ahead.
I totally avoided surgery. Like I'm talking about, I totally avoided surgery, doing this. So
I love all of that because actually the stuff that I'm reading about now, I just joined a sugar and carb free anonymous group, and it's like Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's sugar carb free anonymous. And one of the books that they recommend is called The Obesity Code, and in that, the author Dr. Fung, I think is his name, he talks about intermittent fasting, how you can go 20 hours and then eat in a 4-hour window. And it's that same idea of the less your body is digesting, then the more it's healing. Now, of course, that depends on lifestyle. And, like if you're going to go run a marathon, like you want to adjust your meals accordingly. But generally speaking, and then depending on, are you diabetic? Like there's a whole host of things that influence the type of intermittent fasting that you're going to do. But a lot of research is now coming out on the idea of eating 1 meal a day versus 3 meals, 3 snacks, et cetera, et cetera.
it's like an abundance of food for no reason if there's no strategy behind it. It's just eating to eat, you know?
Right. Are there any books that you've read that have assisted you along your mental health journey?
Ooh, I wish you would never ask. Come on. So here it is, man. Ooh, I got a stockpile. Let me see my favorite one. It's the first book I picked up. It's called Contagious.
Right.
Okay. And why things catch on. This is like, you know, you start to learn other people's experiences, you know, and this one is by Jonah Berger. It's a really good book. Another book that I have to like, this is like a story. So reading eases my mind because you start to, especially the books that I read, there are a lot of like this one is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight and how Nike got started. And I read these type of books because you ain't the only ones going through it. You would think like Phil Knight's got his stuff together. That guy was just as all over the place as anybody else. And then one book of Bezonomics is like how just Jeff Bezos in business. I read a lot of business books because I like their journey. I like their story and how they really resonate with myself. And like the things that will really bring you down is thinking, can I really do this? Am I on the right track? Am I going to fail or am I going to succeed? And that's a mental struggle in its own. And so I just like to read all these other people's like stories and stuff like that. But the dopest, where are we? Ooh, this is a good one. I'm gonna hit you with a gem here. I found this one at the airport. But Let Love Have the Last Word by Common.
I read it.
Just, bro.
Right. I didn't know.
So
I didn't know. Did you know? I didn't know.
I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think like these are the stories. There's one book I haven't read yet and I want to get into it. It's called The Body Electric. And I haven't started it yet. It's a nice sized book. I'm not sure how many pages. Are in here. We're at it's about 333 pages. And so it's just basically on how the body really truly works and electricity and energy and how it affects your body. Also phones and like just like radiation and stuff like that, and how to heal your body through electricity, and how to heal your body through energy. And so I do this type of meditation. It's a breathing exercise, but it's called Wim Hof, and it's very helpful. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Wim Hof is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So the longest I've ever held my breath is 6 minutes. And this is something that I can do like right now. If I went and did the exercise, basically, you know, it's 3 tiers. Tier 1 is 100 breaths, big deep breaths in, like big inhale, big exhale, and you do this for 100 breaths. And then on the last breath, you exhale and you hold. And that will basically what you're doing is you're filling your body with so much oxygen. Your body is so rich in oxygen that it no longer needs to breathe. It's already got it in it. And so you hold your breath. I think the first time I did it, I held it for 3 minutes, blew my mind. And then when you inhale to regain energy, you redo it and redo it. Then I did it again for 4 minutes. And then on the third one, dude, I held it for 6 minutes. And that's like something that I have on a consistent basis. But you're not thinking about the time. You're just in this zone. And I did it with these specialists, these trainers, these gurus in it. And they had these drums bumping and they were just going in. They were walking you through it. And I do these different exercises. I do these different things because these are things that I do to help bring me back to a grounded mental health, a grounded emotional state. And it's just like, you know, exercising the mind, exercising the heart, exercising the body itself. And these things that you learn through traveling, through meeting people, through, you know, expressing good energy, they help, man. I started finding all these different things that just help mentally, emotionally.
You discussed the Wim Hof breathing and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us one more method in which you use to ground yourself or to recenter yourself?
Yeah. Man, I think that this is just for me. It's cooking. Like, it's creating a meal, and it's a meal that I don't eat. I do this sometimes for my family. I do this a lot for my friends, and actually I cook for my family every day. But the times where I'm just in a place where like I'm kind of having a stressful day, I'll hit the kitchen, dude. And then when I hit the kitchen, everybody knows too. Nobody will say nothing. When Dad's in that mode, it's like, all right, he had one of those days. He's about to do it. Everybody gets ready because they know what's happening in that kitchen. So it's funny because I'll sit down and I'll just watch everybody else eat, and I get to sit back and kind of reflect on my life and my family while they're eating a meal that I prepared for them. And I made that meal with love, and I made it with care. And or if the family is busy that day or they're not around, like I'll make it for myself. And you know, I'll smack a meal that I've never done. I'll just create something off the top, and I'll just go. And then I'll sit down and I'll eat, and I'll just kind of enjoy it while listening to some chill music, man.
I
And
love that.
That's my ground. Yeah.
I love that. And then last two questions.
Okay.
Do you have a sleep routine?
Oh, I wish I did. I don't, man. That's like my next goal is to accomplish a really good sleep routine. Sometimes I'm in bed by 1, sometimes I'm in bed by 10, sometimes I'm in bed by 9. It just really depends. I don't get more than 4 to 5 hours of sleep in a day. You know, I'm on a grind, man. And if I want to do what I want to do and balance with my family, I need to get less hours of sleep and more work time in. You know, the goal is to travel the world with my family and not have to worry about the tickets and the pricing and all this stuff. I want to be able to go every time I leave. I want them to be able to go. And so in order for me to do that, you know, I got a lot of work to do. And so that requires me to stay up a lot more. But I do wish I had a better schedule. I think I'm just lazy at that. You know, like that's like my only thing. But I don't have a sleep schedule yet.
And then last question, because I always believe, and I ask this of all my guests, always think that there's one person who might be listening in who may be on the precipice of wanting to end their life. Before you kill yourself, what would you say to them, Miguel?
Man, I would say, have you seen the world yet? Do you know what it really has to offer? And if your answer is no, then you need to get up and go figure out how you can go see this world. I mean, just in your own city, how much of us there's not many of us that have actually explored their whole city and what it has to offer. And through that journey of traveling, and it doesn't need to be traveling across the country, just go to a local restaurant you've never been to, or go to a local store, or go to a dope area that you just Googled, and just appreciate the things that are around you, because I don't think that there's enough of us. I don't think enough people know how amazing this world is, you know? And so I would ask myself, and I would tell them to ask themselves, if you haven't experienced it all, then you're not done yet, you know? And you can do it. It's very simple to make a change in your life. You just have to be okay with letting go of your current life. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always be where you've always been. When I heard that, it changed everything for me.
Gravity, thank you so much for taking this time. Tell people where they can find you, man. Where they can link up, find your school. Where's your social media?
Yeah, man. My social media on Instagram is gravity_official. You can follow us at catchrek.com and at catchrek, WREK. And then also Break Free Worldwide, man. You can see everything that we're doing from the community to the kids to the competitions to the battles. And then on YouTube, it's Gravity, GRAVI TV.
I love it. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is not a substitute for you going to get help, for you calling the 1-800-SUICIDE or 1-800-273-TALK. You can always go to thrivewithleo.com for one-on-one coaching with yours truly. Let's get to tomorrow together. Thank you so much, Gravity.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.